This
C
conference
Sharp,
will now be
programming.
recorded.
I do teach, and this is about myself, guys. Okay, yeah,
Thanks, Arvind. You can continue the demo.
yeah, sure, guys. So so let us start with the testing. So what is testing actually? So testing is a process of testing an application before delivering to the client to ensure the bug free. So for example, if you develop any product, it can be an aircraft, it can be a car, it can be a software, everything needs to be tested before delivering to the client. So it can lead to a different type of disasters. So it can, for example, an aircraft is not properly tested, it can take a life, right? If the car is not tested, that also can lead to a huge cost. A life, an accident can lead to that, right? And then the medical equipments, when we are using these x-ray machines, MRIs, these are also tested thoroughly. If that emits a different radiation level, then it can also lead to a death, as well as it can also lead to some other side effects also, right? So like this, everywhere testing is very important, from food to aircraft, everywhere. Whatever the product you develop, it should be tested. So similarly, we in the software industry, we also do a testing thoroughly before delivering to the client. So any software you take it, so you have to do a manual testing and then the automation testing. So these are the two approaches every company follows before delivering to the client. What is manual testing? So manual testing is testing the application manually. Just for example, we have to test the functionality of the application. Assume like an Amazon.com. So Amazon, you have to test before delivering to the client. Means we are all the clients now. So who are the users, right? So it's a product-based company. They develop an Amazon application or a mobile app. They thoroughly test it before delivering to the public to use and to place the orders, right? So how it will be, what is the cycle it goes through? So first the development happens, then the testing comes to us. Then testing, what happens, we test manually the functionality of the application. When a user logs in, whether he's able to search for a product, whether when he give a proper valid credentials, he's able to log in or not. These kind of scenarios we test manually, right? So then that will ensure the product is stable. In case if the user tries to launch an amazon.com or .in, if the application crashes, then it's unstable. For example, if you take a mobile, in a mobile app you have Amazon, if you open that app, it suddenly crashes, then it's not properly tested. That can lead to a business loss to the company. So that these kind of scenarios, they will be tested and then they will release to the Play Store or App Store or the web application, right? So similarly, this kind of testing will be done in a thorough cycles. Okay, they follow different strategies for that, like functional testing is there, performance testing is there, penetration testing is there. So many type of testings will be followed. What is this functional testing? So functional testing is what is our scope, what we are going to learn in this course. Okay, this functional testing is the approach we use to test the functionality of an application. It can be a mobile application or it can be a web application, right? So they check the functionality, whether the button is working, whether the text box is taking the input, right? Whether the location button is sharing the location, anything, the expected functionalities of the expected elements are working or not, we are going to validate and verify with this approach. That is known as functional testing. What is performance testing? So performance testing is again comes with the different things, like we are going to check the performance of application with a huge amount of load. For example, big billion day, this kind of events happens, right? So how the application behaves when a billions or millions of people logs in on an application at the same interval of time, how the application will take it, whether it will be able to serve the orders to the customer or it will crash. All these scenarios will be tested with the help of performance testing, and also the stress testing, how long it can take that load. That kind of testing is known as performance, stress, load. This kind of testing they will be doing. That also will be, that is not our part of testing, because we are going to discuss and learn only about the functional part. So this is a performance part of the application. And then comes penetration testing. So this is what is penetration testing. They do the security level of application. Is there any chance of breaching? Anybody can penetrate into application and steal the data or manipulate the values. So these kind of things will be tested with the help of penetration testing approach. Okay, these are the different teams in organization they work. So we are going to learn purely on a functional part, that is UI part. Whatever you see an application, right, as in a browser or in a mobile app, this is known as UI. So this part only we are going to learn to test with this class. Okay. So when it comes to functional performance testing, they don't have the UI part. They check with the help of API level backend. They put a load on the APIs with the APIs, and they'll check the performance of the servers, performance of the database, everything they are going to check with the performance testing. Penetration testing, they take care of mostly into backend and sometimes in the UI also. Okay, this is how the testing goes through. So here we'll discuss what is Selenium, why we need Selenium, what is manual testing, all those things step by step we'll discuss here. Okay. So what is the automation testing? So automation testing means using an automation tool to execute your test case suits. What is this test case? So what happens whenever we test an application, right? We document it in a form. That the documentation is known as a test case. For example, in the test case, you will mention the detailed steps like how open a browser, open Chrome, open the URL. Okay, type, enter your valid username, password, click on submit. These are the steps. That is known as a test case. So like that, we'll have multiple test cases to test an application, multiple steps or multiple combination of data we test with the application. That is known as a suite. The combination of test cases is known as a suite. One application will have hundreds, even sometimes thousands of test cases. Depends on the uh, the impact of the application. It can be very huge, multiple flows. Then the test cases are also will be in thousands. So we have to automate them. We have to manually test them. So then that will be converted into automation. This process will take place in an organization. Okay, and to automate that we have a different tools. In case of web application, Selenium is a tool which we are going to learn, and what is the advantage we are going to see against the other different tools available in the market. Okay, so the automation testing means using an automation tool to test the application. That's it. So manual testing means testing the application manually, like physically we sit in front of the application and we test it. That is manual approach. And nowadays company prefer automation approach. The reason is we can deliver things faster. We'll get to know why it is. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide. Okay, why automation? Why everywhere you might heard, whenever you apply for a job, they look for automation engineers. Though you are a manual, some people will have 5 years, 10 years of manual exposure, but still the companies looks for automation engineers. The reason is very simple. Manual testing of all the workflows and all the fields and all the negative scenarios is time and money consuming. So when your application is testing, right, you have to enter all the fields. For example, you are entering in Amazon, you have to enter a valid scenario where you have to give username, password valid, then you log in. You have to try with the invalid. You have to see whether it allows to log in or it throws an error, or what type of error. We will have some expectation errors, expected error, or other deviation. Is there any deviation in the errors? These kind of things we are going to test manually. So same thing we will be doing with the help of tools like Selenium. Okay, it is difficult to test for multilingual sites. Manually, we want to test a multilingual means different languages like Tamil, Telugu, this kind of sites. We need to have the language, right? Then only we can test that. But automation doesn't need that, so it can test without any difficulty because it's automation. So because the program will be written in Java or whatever, HTML, CSS, and all in the front end, so Selenium doesn't matter. It can test it. It can be in any language. So multilingual sites we can easily test with the help of automation. And automation does not require human intervention, so you can use automated test unattended overnight. So humans doesn't need to sit in front of testing, right? When you start automation, automatically takes care. Only during your scripting time you need a human intervention. Once you script it, once you write a program, so you don't need to sit every time. So you can schedule it. Means you can schedule the test. It keeps running and you can do some other job there. So that is the advantage of automation testing. Automation increases the speed of test execution. So this will help us in delivering the execution speed. For example, in an organization, you have 300, 400,000 test cases. To execute them, you need 6 to 7 man days. That means like a 1 week time. So it is a huge time for organization. Okay. So generally the testing time will be very short. So development time will be like a week or 15 days. The testing time will be 3 to 4 days, not more than that. So you have to test whatever they have developed in last 15 days. So it will be very tough for a team to do it. Even the team contains 18-20 people, still it is difficult to test everything within a short time. So to overcome that, so we have an option of automation testing. So automation can help us in automating many as possible, and remaining manual testing team will take care. So we cannot automate 100%. Okay, so generally automate 80 to 90% of application, and around 10 to 15% will be always done by manual approach. You cannot do 100% in any application. So there are a lot of dependencies, there will be dependencies, so manual intervention is needed, but we can bring down to very less percent. Earlier, if it was 100% of manual intervention, with the help of automation we can just bring it to 10 to 15% of manual intervention. Rest 80, 85 to 90% we can bring it down to automation. That's an advantage. And the delivery speed will increase. For example, humans can take 6-7 days, automation can take 3 to 4 hours. Yeah, any question, guys? Okay, so automation helps in test coverage. So we can cover the more number of test cases with the more number of combinations, like positive, negative, invalid, valid, all the flows with the huge coverages we can bring in. Like for example, cross-browser testing is also possible. So human, as a manual tester, you can test in one browser or two browsers. So you have hundreds of cases. It takes more time to test in multiple browsers. That is known as cross-browser testing. So that we can achieve in the automation. We can test parallelly on Chrome, Firefox, IE, Edge, Opera, Safari, all these browsers at a time. One shot we can run all the test cases on the different browsers together. That's the advantage in automation. Manually, again, you have to test, so it is time consuming. When it comes to mobile automation, again, you can test in a multiple devices like Android, iOS. In Android, we have multiple devices, OnePlus, Samsung, Sony, all we can test parallelly. So that's the advantage. How it behaves your application on different phone, we can get to know in a single flow. So that's the advantage in automation. But manual, you cannot operate at a time 5-6 phones, right? As a human, it is impossible. So that is advantage with automation. That is the reason company looks for automation engineers. Okay, manual testing can be boring and error prone. So it can lead to so every day keeps testing, and it might get bored and might get overconfident that this yesterday the last build it was working, this build it might also work. So they might ignore, and that can lead to a disaster. That can lead to a bug slippages, and that can lead to a big disaster to the company, and to the lives and the cost of the company. Anything can happen with the bug. Okay, so that is the reason why our company is looking for automation. This will be zero error, so we can minimize the issues. Once you automate, once you script it right, you can reuse it. We don't need to rewrite every time. Once you automate the script, it can be reused unless there is any major change in your application. If any changes comes, only those code need to be updated. Rest everything will be working fine. That's an advantage in automation. So any questions about why automation? Okay, so let me take to the benefits of automation testing. So for example, this automation testing is, as I told, it is faster than manual. It is more than 70% faster than manual testing. So wide test coverage of application features. We can cover a lot of features of applications. And reliability in results. Automatically generates a result also. Pass, fail, a reason for failure, and the screenshots. Everything can be captured in automation. But manually, we have to generate it. And it is again a time consuming. So, but this parallelly happens. Once the test case is executed, report also will be generated, and we can share it to the team. So in case of failure, we'll have a log, what is the reason of failure, screenshot, all those references, we can pass it on to the team and the developers so they can fix if there is an issue, right? These are the advantages, and improves the accuracy. Then human intervention is not required while execution. As I told, we can schedule it. So we have a tools called Junkin. We can schedule our execution, so it can run overnight, like midnight, 12 o'clock. You can start automation. With your absence, it can start automatically, and in the morning it will share the reports. So that's how it will save your time. So human intervention is not at all required, and increases efficiency. The better speed in execution results, and reusable test scripts. We can reuse the test scripts. Test frequently and thoroughly. We can test frequently as well as thoroughly. Anytime we can test, and we can thoroughly we can do it. The more cycle of execution can be achieved through automation. So we can keep executing multiple times before delivering to the client. For example, a build is developed, a build is ready and delivered to the QA. So QA will test one time and just they will give a sign off. Yes, this is working fine, right? So that is one cycle. So sometimes that is a manual approach, but in automation you can do multiple executions. That one entire cycle, one entire flow is known as a one entire suite of execution is known as a cycle. So like that we can do multiple cycles and we'll get to know whether the application is stable or not. These are the more advantages we have in automation, in which manually it is really hard to achieve it. You need a more resource and more time. So in a short time, automation can help you in achieving it. And again, reusability of the test scripts. Whatever we write a program, right, we can reuse them. We don't need to rewrite again and again. So if, for example, you have developed for a login module, few components we can reuse in a home module or registration module or any payment module, an address module, anywhere you have, so you can reuse them. Okay, that is an advantage. Okay. And then which test cases to be considered for automation? So high risk business critical cases. So for example, there's a flow which is very important, very critical to the organization for business, that should be automated. So every day you have to execute that, multiple executions are required, that should be considered for automation. That the flow might take a long time, long flow, long time, like you have to go to a database, you have to have dependencies, so you have to verify those kind of flows. So it takes a time consuming, that also should be considered for automation, so that it will save the time mainly. Okay, the test cases that are very tedious and difficult to perform manually. Tedious means like I can say like difficult. It's almost like a lot of steps involved, a lot of dependencies are there. So these kind of things, human might, it's not a good idea to test by human. So we can script it and we can ensure that it is executed under the automation. And which cannot be tested, which cannot be automated, not tested, automated. So the test cases that are newly designed and not executed manually at least once. So which are newly designed, which are not at manually also not executed once, that should not be considered for automation. The test cases which the requirements are frequently changing. So they are changing the color, they are changing the fonts, they are changing the text, they are changing the button. This kind of changes will happen when application starts developing, right? So this kind of frequently changing should not be considered for automation, because a lot of rework will be into picture. So you script it, so again next week the developer have changed it, so again you have to rewrite the code. So this is a time consuming. So once the application is stable, then once the requirement is frozen, then it is right time to considering it for automation. The test cases which are executed on ad hoc basis. Okay, so ad hoc basis means there will be no proper document, so just you have to test it. So those kind of things should not be considered for automation. Okay, these are the challenges. So how this will be automated? What are the tools we use for automation? So I'll show you one automation flow also. After this, I'll write a small program and I'll execute and show you how the automation works. What is a manual automation, difference between manual and automation? I'll just show you how it works. So this is a tool we are going to use, that is known as Selenium Web Driver, right? You all know Selenium Web Driver, you might have heard about it. It is a complete open source web automation testing tool. Okay, it supports different programming languages. This tool is used to automate or test the applications which works on a browser. So any browser like Firefox, IE, Chrome, Opera, Safari, these kind of browsers, any application works on that can be tested using Selenium. Selenium is a open source tool. It supports different programming languages like Java, C#, Ruby, Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, all those programming languages. But in the market, Java and Python are the leaders currently. Most of the application, most of the companies prefer Java as their primary language for testing. So next, the Python. So we can use any of this language to test. How this interaction happens? Internally, this language and the browser interact with the JSON wire protocol. That is a protocol. That's how the interaction happens. This interaction will happen between the browser and the code with the help of a driver. There will be a driver. That driver is known as a browser driver. You can see in this image. our request, whatever we write a program with this language, we send our request to the browser driver. This browser driver will interact with the browsers and which will respond to you back with your request. Okay, I'll show you after this how it is going to be working in a real time. Okay, this is a known as architecture. So all it is all an API request. Okay, HTTP API request goes and comes back your request and it will respond back with the you for your request with the data. This all happens in a fraction of second. So and if it is not as expected, then it is a failure. Okay, you have expected like button should be present, it should be clickable. If it is not clickable, then it's a bug. Then you will be raising it as a bug using a different tool called Jira. So Jira is a test management tool. They use it for test case writing. Also, they will use it for test bug management also, bug lifecycle management also. So there we are going to raise the bug with the screenshots or sometimes video, sometimes log, all those things we are going to attach and then we are going to raise it to the developers. The developers will go through that and they'll fix the issues. This is how the flow works in a real time. So let me show you how it works in things. Okay, let me quickly show you a small program how it works. So I will be using an example for Java as a programming language to show you. We can do same thing in Python also. I'll show you on both the languages. So I'm using a tool called IntelliJ. This is called IDE. Okay, this is a platform where I write a program. Okay, so I have multiple projects are already created. I'll choose any one of the project which is for demo purpose. Okay, I'll just pick it up anyone and just go with this. Okay, but in the class we'll be creating a new project, new everything. So I'll just create one demo. Okay, so let me create one class. So in Java there's a concept of class because Java is a object oriented programming. Even in Python we have a concept of class. Okay, so let me show you. So let me create one class, new Java class. Okay, let us test the Amazon application now. How the Amazon application works, let us see now. Okay, so Amazon, AMAZON. There's a naming convention. I'll discuss that. Whenever you create a class, it should start with the uppercase. Okay, so Amazon flow. I'll just write Amazon flow as a test case. So here I want to write the logic to launch the browser. I want to test it. Before testing it automation, I'll go with a manual approach first. Okay, let me show you. For example, I'll just open amazon.in. I open the Chrome browser. I'm opening the amazon.in. In the amazon.in, I want to search for something like iPhone 12. So when I click on iPhone 12 and press enter, what is happening? It is showing me all the iPhone 12s here. It is not showing Samsung or it is not showing any Nokia or any other module, any other model. It is showing only iPhone 12 because our request was iPhone 12. So as per our request, it is displaying. So this is not a bug. It is as per expectation, right? It is not showing anything. It will be showing only phone, and related to the phone, there might be a phone case or phone charger. This kind of things it might be showing, but it is most of the things will be see first few search is totally regarding to the iPhone, and later it is started showing the OnePlus Nord other models, right? See like this you can see, but here in between only one model is there, rest everything is iPhone, related to iPhone. See the cases, different cases, transparent case, like this it is showing in a different models. This is how the testing works. So for example, when you search here, so you can see the title of this page called iPhone 12. Is it showing? Yes, it is showing. Then it is not a bug. So like this, we are going to verify and validate all these things in application manually. For example, if I click on sign in, whether I'm able to come on the sign in page, yes, we are on a sign in page. If I click on need help, whether it is giving an option for me to reset a password or other issue, anything, we have to validate these kind of scenarios. For example, you want to create a new account on Amazon, so click on here. So automatically it has to take me to the create an account flow. right? It should not show something else. If it shows something, then it's a bug or a deviation in the application. So here it is showing as expected. So let us write a small program to test this, how this works in Amazon. Okay, so first what we did, we launched the browser. Okay, we launched the browser. For this we needed dependencies, guys. So that is known as, like, we are going to use a Selenium for this, and we are going to use a testng, and then we are going to use a WebDriver manager. These are known as dependencies. So there are two ways we can manage them. One, by downloading the jar and adding into a project. That is the old approach. The latest is using a Maven. So using a Maven, what we do, we download the dependencies and add into the pom.xml here. Okay, already I have added those dependencies. This is one, these three are the dependencies, and with this help, what it does, so Java alone cannot do the automation, right? So Java need a third-party library that is known as Selenium. So we are integrating Selenium with Java to achieve this automation now. So for that, we needed external library. That library we are getting through the Maven project. That is a Maven project, and these are known as Maven dependencies. These dependencies I've already added. So in case you want to add, I'll just remove this now. So when you create a project, just you will get this pom.xml. Let me show you how to add it. Just go to a browser and search for MVN repository. This is a location where you find all the dependencies in a one place. Okay, here I'll search for testng. As soon as I click and search here, so it will give me the dependencies related to the testng. So if I click on this testng, so these are the different versions of testng available in the market since beginning. See, since 2010, and 10 years or decade, right? Since then till now, the latest version is 7.3. So we can go to this, or we can go, always latest version will be, sometimes it will not be stable. So it takes some time. So we can go to one version lower to that. So 7.10. So this is the dependency. I'm just going to copy this and paste it in the code. That is in the pom.xml. You'll understand what I'm doing. This is known as HTML code, guys. These are known as HTML tags and the code. So in this, I'm going to create one tag called dependencies. Under this dependencies, I'm going to add the dependency. That is one testng dependency added. So next is I'm going to add Selenium. Okay, I'm search for Selenium Java. And then here we have a different versions of Selenium. So the latest is beta version 1. This alpha, till recent it was alpha 7. These are under the testing. So the beta, the Selenium 4 is coming up. We will discuss that. For now, I'll go with the 3.141.59. This is a stable version. So I'll just copy this and add into the project. Then comes WebDriver Manager. So why we need this WebDriver Manager? To launch the browser in Selenium, guys, again, we have a two approach. One, downloading the driver respect to your browser version and linking the path. So other way is the latest approach is using the WebDriver Manager. Using this WebDriver Manager, this downloads the respective driver automatically on the fly. So I'll use 3.4.31. So add this dependency. These are the three minimum dependencies required to start the Selenium testing now. So let me import it. So as soon as I add this, so it should come into my project now. So right click and just go to Maven and then click on the reload project. As soon as I do it, so you can see the bottom, the dependencies is loading. Just load it, it's done. So if you go to the external library, here you can see the Selenium libraries. So it automatically got downloaded. The advantage of Maven is, so in case tomorrow you want to migrate to some other version, you just change the version here. So automatically it deletes the version, old version, and updates the latest version, whatever you have mentioned. That's how it is. That's how easy it is to use the Maven. Even in testng, any of this you want to add or remove or modify, you can just do it in the pom.xml, so that will reflect in the project. So let us go back to the programming now. Let us write a program now. So let me start with one annotation known as before test. Okay, this is a part of testng, guys. So this is used to control the flow of your application. What I did before starting testing, the first thing what I did, I launched the browser, right? So that is what I'm going to write now here. So I'll write, create a method. This is known as a method in Java. So public void, and then I'll write a method name as setup. This is known as a method. So this is known as access modifier. Public, provide, public, protected, private, default. These are the 4 access modifiers in Java. We'll discuss that later. So this is known as return type. Void means it's a return type. The meaning of void is it doesn't return anything. And then the setup is a name of the method. You can give any name to a method, but setup I've just given here. Okay. Then I'll write a logic to launch the browser. So I will create a variable for Webdriver driver. Okay. So this is known as a reference variable. Okay. Here in Selenium WebDriver is a interface. You will understand what is interface and all. So that we are going to discuss in Java. So we cannot, so because it is an interface, we cannot create a object of the WebDriver. We can create only class object, not the WebDriver interface object. So that is the reason I'm just taking the reference of the WebDriver here. Okay, you will understand what is class object. All those things we'll be discussing in the class. So now I will write a code to launch the browser. So first code I'll write WebDriver manager dot Chrome driver dot setup, and then I'll write the driver which I have initialized here, declared here. Now I'm initializing it. Driver is equal to new Chrome driver. I want to launch the Chrome driver. Okay, then after this is a before, this is what I did right before starting my test. This is what I did. This is a before. So and next what I'll do, I'll write one test and then write public void test. Okay, this is the next test. Now we are going to record our test steps. What's the thing we did? We opened amazon.com, right? So to open Amazon, any browser, any URL, you have a method called get, driver.get. So here you have to pass the URL. So https://www.amazon.com or .in, whatever you want, you can give. So amazon.in. So this is the application, right? After if I write this, if I run this, now it will just open the browser and it will open the amazon.in. Let us check whether it works or not. Right click and just click on run it. So now you see browser launched and then amazon.in also opened, right? So test is pass here. Okay, test is pass here. So you can see test pass. See here you can see test pass. So next we want to search for Amazon. In Amazon we have to search for iPhone, right? Anything, you can search for anything here. So let me show you how it will be done. So in applications, this is known as web application, right? In the web application, these are known as web elements. Whatever you see, right? These are known as web elements. So to interact, our code has to interact with these elements, right? I want to type here now through code. So to interact this, that is also a web element. This white area, white text box is there, right? That is also web element. So to know what is the address of this web element, so we can right click and go to inspect here. You can inspect and you can identify the name. This is known as DOM element, document object model. Mostly it will be written in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, these kind of languages they use to develop this. It's a front end. Okay, so here you can see the tag name called input and attributes are there here. So type is an attribute, ID is an attribute. Okay, so I'll be going with this ID. Okay, I'll copy this value and I'll just go back to the code. I will write driver dot find element by dot ID and pass the ID here. Then in that ID, I want to send keys. There's a method in Selenium. This will help you in typing the value. Send keys, and I want to search for like smartwatch, SMART watch. Okay, smartwatch. And then what I should do, I should press enter key. As soon as you type, you will press enter key, right? Or I should identify this magnifier icon here and click on it. So two approaches I have. I'll be using enter key now. So I can write keys dot enter. So this enter, it works like a enter key, enter button on your keyboard. Okay, let me run this now. So it opened, and now see it worked. It clicked on a smartwatch. Now see it is showing all the smartwatches available in the Amazon. Right. So like this. So this is how we can automate it. So we are going to automate and test it whether it is written. See all smartwatches only it is coming. Yes. So we can verify this. We can get to know the number of smartwatches available here in this page. All those details we can capture. We can get to know the names of the watches. We can get the prices with the code. Everything we can do. Okay. So any questions here, guys? This was automation. This is how the Selenium works in Java. Similarly, we can do with the Python also, or C#, JavaScript, anything. But Java is a leader in the market. So Java plays a vital role. And next is, I'll just show you in same scenario in Python. How do we write it? So for that, I'll be using a different IDE that is known as PyCharm. Here I used IntelliJ, right? So this is a PyCharm where I'm going to write Python code to do the same thing. Okay, I'll pick up some existing project. Okay, I'll just create one package. Okay, so new Python package as demo. So now I will write a program to do the same thing in Python. So if anyone is interested in Python, so they can pick up this. So like this, Amazon demo. So for this, again, I've already done the Selenium, installed the Selenium, imported the Selenium libraries. So I'll just start writing the code here. I'll write from Selenium .WebDriver import Chrome driver. Then from WebDriver manager dot Chrome import Chrome driver manager. Any one language you need to know, guys, not both the languages. Why I'm showing is few people might opt for Java, few people might opt for Python. So that is the reason I'm showing you two different languages. But you need to know one language at least. Minimum one language is enough. Either Java or Python. Any one you need to know. Okay. So you don't need to know both the languages. Don't get confused. Okay. Now I will write a code to launch. So same CHROME Chrome. Sorry. So uppercase this Chrome I want to take. So Chrome, inside that I need to write Chrome driver manager dot install. This will take care, and I'll write driver is equal to this, and driver dot get. I'll just write https :/www dot amazon dot in, right? And then I'll write driver dot find element by, just now we identified, right, 2-tab search text box. I'll write 2-tab search text box. 2-tab search text box. The text box was there, right? So for that, this is address of that. This is an ID. Then I'll write send keys. This time I'll search for Samsung mobile. And to enter keys here, we have to import a library from Selenium, from selenium.webdriver.common.keys import keys. Alright, keys dot enter. Same thing we are going to achieve with Python. See, you are getting the same results. Hope you got it, guys. Any questions here?
Hello,
Yeah.
sir. What is WebDriver? What is the function of WebDriver?
Okay, WebDriver is an interface here. So WebDriver contains all the classes, methods related to Selenium. So Selenium WebDriver, we call it a Selenium WebDriver actually.
Hmm.
It contains
Okay.
all the methods, it contains all the classes, it contains all the interfaces related to the Selenium.
In Java point of view and Python point of view, WebDriver function is same, na, sir?
Same, correct.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Implementation will be different, that's it. So in Java we write differently and
Okay,
in
sir.
Python we write differently. But the functionality remains
Okay,
same.
sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah. So any questions here, guys? Okay, I'll just give a brief introduction about mobile testing also. So there is a concept of APM. There's a tool called APM. So that is used to test the mobile applications. You can test any application like Android and iOS. So we it's a same application mobile app you Amazon you want to test on mobile, right? So then we cannot use Selenium there. We have to use a APM for that. So APM is a different tool again. So it's an HTTP server written in Node.js. Node.js is also one of the programming language, JavaScript language. So using that, they have developed it. They created the that creates and handles the WebDriver session. There also again a WebDriver concept is there, and that is in mobile. So generally they call it as mobile driver there, APM driver, Android driver, iOS driver. These kind of names we get to hear there in APM. So the architecture goes like this. So for example, you have a laptop and or desktop. You're writing a program here. You're going to send your request to the APM server. This APM server we will be installing on our local, and then that request will go to the real device or simulators and emulators. Here we have a concept of emulators and simulators also. So let me quickly show you an Android phone. Okay, so let me show you one Android simulator. Simulator is nothing but it just looks like a real device, but it is not a real device. It will be programmatically created one. Okay, so this is one. For example, this is simulator. So it will looks like real device, right? You can do all the functionalities. You have a apps to Play Store here. You can download the apps from the Play Store. You can do all the operations, whatever you want to do. Okay, so we can install any app. So for example, I have Zoom app. So many apps I have installed for testing purpose. So we have to test it, right? So we can do it. One second. So like this, you can open a browser here. So like this Google functionalities, everything you can just, it's not opening. This is the actual apps I have installed. That's got some challenge. Okay, let me try all the widgets. That's fine. So like this, we can have a simulator in case you want to test an iPhone or iPhone devices. So we have an simulator for that. This is known as emulator. So similarly, we have an for iPhone, we have a emulator simulator. See, it looks very real. I do teach on this technologies also, but for this we'll be using APM. Now this is more promising in the market because many applications are coming up. Billions of devices are there. Millions of applications are there. Right? The scope for testing is very high in mobile also now, mobile areas. Just a second. So a simulator is opening here. See, this is iPhone 12. So we can generate these kind of scenarios. We can also do it on real devices. This is simulator. Also, we can do it on real devices. It just behaves like a real device, both simulators and emulators. See, it's a real device, kind of real device. It's a simulators. We call it as simulators. So it has got everything. Like see, you have volume button. See, you can go to home button, home page. You can swipe. You can open settings. So all these things, whatever you do it on real device, every feature you can enjoy here. So like this. If you want to lock, so you can put it on mute. We can unmute. You can see you can lock it, unlock it. So all those things are possible. See, like this. So all possible features you will get it on the simulators. So you can open browser here, Safari browser. So you can open YouTube. So just like that. So like this, you can open anything here. Okay. So you can play all features, whatever you get on your phone. You can test all these things. You got it, guys? So like this, we have all these provisions in the testing. So we all test this kind of scenarios. It depends on the application. In your product, you have to test it. Then we definitely have to test this also. So any questions here? So this is about mobile automation. We can do the same thing what we did with APM, sorry, Selenium. Same we'll be doing with APM. With the help of APM, we can use Java or Python. So Java is a popular again with the APM as well. So using that, we can test the mobile applications, iOS and Android. Launching the app, testing, scrolling, tap, scroll, whatever we perform on a mobile application, all the features we can do with this. Sorry, questions here? Can I conclude here? Any questions?
No, I don't have any question.
No. Yeah. So Hemant, I'll be concluding here, Hemant. See you guys then.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Okay, somebody has asked the question. Nowadays, which automation tool is preferred? So both Selenium and APM.
Pallavi, yeah, below the now. Below open this point now. Cupboard now. Phone out now. Phone.